Welcome to our channel. There is a lot of information in this check-in video, so to make navigating easier for our viewers, I've listed what is in each section down below in the description. I hope you're able to take away something from what we've learned in the past few months. Hey guys, so if you're a returning viewer, welcome back, and if you are new to our channel, my name is Samantha Wolf, and this is Marshall Wolf.
Back in March, we sold our house and moved into our Scamp full time. Definitely made our way around, made all the way up to Maine, and back down and around. And we've learned a lot of stuff since then, so a lot of things that broke, a lot of things that went well, and we kind of want to talk about that.
Yeah, we're sitting at about a little over 6 months now, so we thought it was a good time to do a video like this. Before going forward, I wanted to remind you, if you haven't already, to subscribe to our channel and to turn notifications to all so you don't miss a video. And also any products that we talk about in the video or in any of our videos, the links to the products will always be in the description below. Some of the links are affiliate links, so if you were to click on it and buy from that link, we would get a very small commission. So going forward, this video is going to be split up into 5 different sections. What we've learned since living in the Scamp full time, recent upgrades or upgrades that we plan on doing in the next couple months, what we wish we would have done different if we could do this all over again, what is going well that is worth mentioning, and the 5th one is going to be a personal recap of where we are in this journey.
So, first part is what we've learned. These are the things that we've learned since we've been out here. The big thing that we learned is camping gear is not designed for full-time use. So, you buy some camping gear at your local outfitter store or Walmart or Target, wherever.
Yeah.
And, you go out once or twice a year, you use it, it's going to last 10 years. Here we're using it 2 or 3 times a day sometimes, at least 2 or 3 times a week. So what we're finding is things are breaking down really fast. And the big thing that breaks down the fastest, it seems, are shower/toiletry tent. That's what we'll call it. All kinds of colorful names for that. Basically, the zippers want to break down, how it folds up real nice and tight and pops up. Well, those little, what are those, spring steel?
Yeah, it's starting to bend in weird directions. We're getting smacked in the face when we're taking a shower now.
Yeah, and the stake holes, they're all ripping apart.
Yep.
This is our second one. Actually, we started out with having a separate shower tent and a toiletry tent, and now we've kind of combined it because we've already lost one.
Yeah.
Which has worked out well because we've actually used some of the zippers and things that I harvested off the old tent for the new one to keep it going.
Yeah, but this one is at its limit.
Yeah.
It's so ripped up and it's so warped.
And
I give it like 2 more months.
Not even that, because half the zipper doesn't even want to go down now.
Yeah.
So you're slightly exposed.
Yeah.
But the next thing would be buckets. We got into the whole collapsible buckets for space, and they worked for what, 3 months?
Yeah. So when the round ones that we had, we were using them pretty much every single day. We were using them for harvesting water, bringing it up a hill, for showers, doing dishes, pretty much anything. So it's constantly being collapsed and uncollapsed. Well, both of those buckets broke. They both got holes where the collapsing happens.
Yeah, where the rubber meets the plastic.
But our kitchen one, our rinse bucket that we have, it's still holding strong because we don't use it nearly as much.
Yeah, we kind of keep it expanded whenever we're at a campsite. So it is all about use, right? So if you're collapsing it and expanding it over and over again, it just wore out. We ended up just buying a little $4 one from Target.
Yeah, it's been working great.
The next one is the battery-powered shower. I don't want to go too deep in this. If you look at our last couple videos, you'll see I've definitely ranted a lot about these darn showers. They're such a great idea, and if it was done well, I think it would be. We're on our 3rd shower, 3rd design, all cheaply made, let's be honest.
This one's holding up pretty well, though.
Yeah, it's a good design. I think there are some higher-end brands out there that are like $150, $200 for a battery-powered shower. I can't just find a cheap, well-built, portable shower.
So our first 2, you had to submerge the motor, the battery, everything was submerged in the water. The one that we have now, you only submerge the part that actually sucks the water into the shower head. The battery is outside the shower, so the battery's not getting wet.
So the hope is that there are less components that will fail if water does get through some of these O-rings.
And so if this one does fail, though, we're going to go to what are we going to?
Yeah, basically, when you go to Lowe's and you see that where you pump it full of pesticide and you spray, we're going to do that, but we're going to do it with water. We're gonna clean ourselves with
I don't want to do that. I want this one to work.
But it'll have a shower head and stuff. I've already picked out the one I want on Amazon, but
Okay. So the next part, we've learned that campers are not designed to live in full time.
I would agree. And a lot of this isn't the manufacturer's fault. Scamp makes a camper that's tried and true. You know, this thing's, what, 20 years old?
Yeah.
So 2001. And there's some out there from the 70s and 80s that are still rocking it. The thing is, you just have to constantly be on it, right? So as you're moving, you just gotta constantly maintain it. You gotta keep the bearings greased. You gotta make sure the gaskets for the windows are sealed. Things like that. So what we've done is we've just kind of, I don't think we've written it down yet, but we've just got kind of a PMing process that we go through. Some things we check every 2 weeks, some things we check every month. We've added tires to it, because you never know when the sidewall is going to get a bulge in it. If you do decide to do this more often than not, just keep in mind that you're going to have to maintain things.
Yeah, but it's like living in a house, and even in a house you have to maintain things. It's just
true. This
house moves. We do have a checklist, though, of whenever we do move, we both have our own separate jobs, and then we do check each other.
Yeah, especially when we're about to travel.
Yeah.
So she'll back up the camper, we'll hitch it up, put the lock in place, chains, all that jazz, and then she'll come back and double check me.
Yeah, and now in that checklist, we look at the tires. You look to make sure that like grease is doing what it's supposed to be doing.
Yeah, yeah. We're doing all the things now, so that's definitely something I would say take away from this video is have a checklist and have someone double check your work.
Yeah. The good thing, we're not having as many issues as we did in the beginning. Things aren't breaking as much. We don't have cups flying out of cupboards. We don't have...
That first month and a half.
Everything was broken.
Yeah. The next thing would be the cell phone booster. Get a Wii Boost, they said. It'll work great, they said. We do have an Orpi. It's not the Wii Boost brand, but in my research, a lot of them utilize the same technology. So I think the folks that use the Wii Boost or the Orpi or some other booster, they're all having the same problem here. If you're close to 5G service and you're just boosting 5G service, yeah, it works great, right? But a lot of the places that we camp, the service that is available to us isn't 5G.
Yeah, like right now, we have T-Mobile, but the only service we have is like no bars of AT&T.
Yeah,
like
we do roam on AT&T.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter the carrier. It's just if you're out in the woods, you're just going to have issues where if you do boost signal, it's just going to be bad signal you're boosting, right?
Yeah.
So the cell phone booster, I don't know. I don't like it. I think it was a waste of money.
So one thing that we did do is get rid of our water pump. In the first few videos, we had this water pump that we would put on the 6-gallon jugs, and it would just distribute the water kind of slow, but it would do its job. I learned that I don't have the patience for it. I just want the water to come out faster. So most of the time I tend to just use the 6-gallon jug. There's nothing wrong with the water pump. It took up room. Right now we have an Igloo jug, like a 2.5 gallon, 3 gallon, whatever.
Yeah.
We'll put water in that too.
Or we had the little filtered jug. Right?
The one that kept breaking.
Yeah, that's another thing. We had 2 of those and they both broke.
Yeah.
That's why we ended up with the Igloo. The cool thing about the other one was it had a filter that we could add to it. So we were double filtering our water.
Yeah, so now we're only single filtering our water and hoping we don't get sick.
Yeah, we should be fine.
Yeah, I haven't got sick yet. We're fine.
Yeah.
Speaking of getting sick, maybe you've noticed how red my face is. And I feel the need to explain that this is not bad makeup. We filmed this video 2 days before I tested positive for COVID, and my body was already starting to show side effects from the virus. This Sam had no idea what her next week was going to be like. So something else that we learned, which it's not a big thing, but in terms of creating waste, it helps not create so much waste. Our paper towels, we've actually started cutting them in half, and now we just have 2 rolls sitting on the towel rack. We've learned that most of our messes can be cleaned up with half of a sheet. Our paper towels tend to last double the amount of time that it usually would.
Yeah.
Something else that we learned. So when we first started out, we would use freecampsites.net. Sometimes we would use Free Roam. Campandia is another one we dabble in sometimes. It's my job to find the campsites. I've learned that iOverlander is my app now when I go to find campsites. Not only does it show you the informal campsites and the wild campsites, you can also find potable water, dump stations, where to fill propane, and people give feedback of this place was great, or this place had way too much ATV traffic, or this place is now closed, or the amount that it costs for a dump station. It's all the information's there, and it's really nice. And it's connected to Google Maps, so there's just a button that you push whenever you find a campsite, and it brings you straight to Google Maps, so you're not like fighting with.
It's pretty well developed.
Multiple different websites.
And we try to give back as much as we can. If we find a dump station that's not listed, we'll add it.
I will say that campsites that we find that aren't on iOverlander, I tend to keep those to myself. Most of the time we find other campsites based on campsites that are on iOverlander.
Yeah, but they're usually within close proximity.
Yeah, but there have been some that have been way cooler than the ones that have been on there, but we had to actually look for them.
I don't know. I think it's a jerk move, but there are different camps when it comes to that. We gained so much, I want to give back, but
we are giving back. We're just not giving back everything.
Yeah.
Only child, oldest child.
I want to share everything.
No. Acclimating to the elevation, both for us personally and for our stuff. Kentucky's about, 600 feet above sea level?
Where we lived was around 600.
And so coming over here from Kentucky, Missouri, Kansas, gradually coming up and then going into the mountains, the Front Range near Boulder, it was about 10,000 feet above sea level. That's a huge amount that we have to acclimate to. When we first got to Colorado, we felt it like in our lungs.
I can't breathe. Okay.
Beyond us is our stuff. So whenever I go down the mountain, we go grocery shopping and I bring back a bag of chips or a bag of seaweed or whatever, that bag expands all the way as much as it possibly can.
Can't believe it hasn't popped. Well, that, and if you have any little bottles of liquid, if it's on its side, the pressure will push that liquid on out. So definitely take that into consideration.
Yeah, and then also be really careful when you open your sriracha with your teeth.
Yeah, Amelia did what kids do and just grabbed the bottle and pulled on it, and then it just shot sriracha right in her mouth and her face.
It was amazing.
Yeah, it was great. And same goes with your chemical toilets. So we've got a portable chemical toilet. So it's all sealed up when you're traveling. So we went from low out of the mountains and then drove up into the mountains.
Yeah.
There's a pressure relief valve on ours, and I didn't push that. It blew blue stuff all inside the lid and around the bowl, and
there were colorful cuss words coming out of the tent.
If I would have had that open, I just would have come out like a Smurf. It would have been gone.
Oh my god, amazing.
But yeah, keep that in mind when you go up to elevation. Yeah. We have a Tacoma V6. The horsepower, I definitely can feel it struggling more than it would at sea level. Granted, we are towing the camper, but just you have to put it manual and downshift. The computer's programmed to do a lot of this stuff at sea level. So when you get into higher elevations and you're towing, you just gotta manually shift the gears, or it won't downshift when you want it to sometimes.
So RV toilet paper. We started out using RV toilet paper. We still occasionally use RV toilet paper. Whenever we were in Jackson Hole, there wasn't a Walmart near us or anywhere where I could find RV toilet paper. I started freaking out because we were running out, and I learned that if you buy toilet paper that says Septic safe on the packaging, it breaks down just as quickly as RV toilet paper. You don't have to spend that extra $1 or $2 just for that fancy RV toilet paper. It does the same thing, and it's a little bit cheaper. Whenever I go to dump the chemical toilet, I do make sure that there's no clumps of toilet paper coming out and that it's working the way that it properly should.
The next thing that we should bring up is learn from our mistakes. Don't put your awning out when it's windy. Even if you're down in a valley or a holler. Yeah. Making fun of the way I talk. You're gonna get wind, right? So we were in Virginia, and we were kind of down in a holler, and wind came down off that cliff face.
And I'm outside, the awning is parallel to the ground. It starts to come up. I grab one of the legs hoping to keep it, and it just snapped off like a bug's leg. I'm just holding it, just watching it, and it did a full 180 over the camper.
Yeah.
Luckily, it's still usable.
I had to straighten up the brackets, and there is still a bit of a bow in the awning itself. Being out here on the road, you're just limited on tools and resources to do things. So that's another downside to this. Yeah. The next thing that I want to have learned on this is the Zero Breeze air conditioner. It's one of those things where there's nothing else on the market that offers cooling in that small of a platform, right? So a lot of your air conditioners use tons of watts. This is a very small unit, and it's just really expensive, and you just don't get a lot of cooling for it. One thing it does do is it pulls the humidity out of the camper, and it will drop it a couple degrees.
Really, the only time we ever even use the air conditioning is when we have to leave Percy in the Scamp. I'll put most of the Reflectix up. I'll leave one Reflectix down where the sun isn't shining through for him. The Maxxfan will be on to try to pull any heat that has risen. Whenever we do that and we put the Zero Breeze on, it actually cools it down significantly. But it pulls a lot of power.
Yeah, that's another thing. We bought the batteries for it as well, but we just found it easier just to use our 300 amps of power and then just charge that.
Well, we found we don't even use batteries anymore.
That's what I mean. Like, I've got 2 batteries sitting down there not doing anything because we just use the big battery.
They're more of a shelf, a very, very expensive shelf.
Cost per BTU is so high with Zero Breeze. I don't know, maybe they'll come up with something better in the next decade. But so propane use. So we use propane for most everything. For cooking, heating, our camper, and generator. If we don't have a lot of sun, and I'm running Starlink dang near every day for work, that Starlink will destroy your battery. So we'll top off with the generator. If we're running the generator a lot, it seems like we're refilling that tank about every 2 weeks.
Yeah, with winter coming, it's going to be worse. So something else we've learned is the lack of participation in No Trace Left Behind at these campsites.
Yeah, the thing is, right now we're just singing to the choir. Most of the folks that are watching this video are probably gonna participate in No Trace Left Behind.
Yeah.
So get ready for us to nag with you here.
So whenever we go to a campsite, we do everything we can to leave the campsite better than we found it. This always includes picking up trash. Our own trash that we create, and most of the time other people's trash. There have been a couple of campsites that have been great.
Yeah.
The 2 in Wyoming, amazing. The one here, actually, near Buena Vista is awesome. But there have been some other ones that I'm getting a little tired of finding people's toilet paper just on the ground.
And why do people think that aluminum cans disappear when you put them in fire?
I pick up so many people's aluminum cans.
In the fire?
In the fire pit. They're always in the fire pit.
I mean, the fire gets hot, but it doesn't get hot enough to make aluminum disappear.
And little rant here, like our last campsite, a guy came over, talked to us for a little bit, had a couple beers together, and he threw his beers in our fire pit.
Yeah, you don't want to be mean and start yelling and whatnot. I just waited till he left, and then once the fire was out, I cleaned it all up. But just don't get it.
Just throw away your trash.
And not in the fire.
Yeah, recycle them. Recycle the aluminum cans. They are 100% recyclable.
Another thing is people we meet. So since you just mentioned that lovely gentleman, for the most part, we've had really good luck with people we've met out here.
Yeah.
At the last campsite, talking about the last campsite, we also had someone pull up that saw we had a Scamp, and they had a Scamp, and it was kind of I'm sure it was awkward for them too, just to say, hey, let's talk about Scamps. Yeah, they were super cool. We talked to them for like an hour. We've had other ones, we just didn't have a lot in common, so it made the conversation a little awkward, but for the most part, it's been good. Yeah. I haven't felt scared out here, I guess I could say.
Yeah, I have not felt unsafe or threatened, even when I was by myself. I think the weirdest thing is when law enforcement pops up. Like, that's when we get a little freaked out, because why? Go away. So in terms of things that we've learned, that's a good summary worth, I guess.
Yeah, a lot of it was just us ranting, but yeah, in a good way.
In every video, it seems like we learn something new, and we show you. Every video's educational. Yeah. Just kind of.
This section is going to be about upgrades that we've done since our last tour, which was about 6 months ago, I think. Yeah, so we're going to start with the bike rack. We've added the bike rack to the front. I think we did talk about this, but it's such a good thing that we wanted to show it to you again. Moving them to the front was the best thing we ever did. It shifted the weight to the front. We cruise sometimes at 75 and we don't have any issues. Actually, there's a video that we did earlier. Sam, can you put like a little, if I do this, can you make it?
Yeah, point to your left though.
You click up there. You can go to that video. But we're really happy with where the bike racks are. Way better than in the back, way safer.
So originally we weren't gonna have a fridge. We were just gonna try to find something to put Percy's insulin in. All the products that we looked at were just over the top pricey. And then we went to go see our friends Vince and Kay, and they actually gave us a fridge that they weren't using, and we used it a lot. Sadly though, the last time we went to go see them, where we were parked, some water went underneath the Scamp and flooded, and it killed our fridge and it died. So our newest upgrade for our fridge is this guy. I don't know anything about it, I just know that it's great. It holds a lot of food, so we're able to keep a lot of things, and most importantly, it holds Percy's insulin.
We got it propped up on the bin for Starlink.
Yes, Starlink stole the bin that was our shoes, and now we actually have these shoe bins. So we each get one, and other than our snow boots, if our shoes don't fit in here, we can't bring them. But our snow boots stay in the truck. Percy!
You've all seen Dishy McDishface. Another upgrade that we're really happy to have is Starlink. We were able to take advantage of Starlink RV service and got it, and it's been amazing. We get great service. I'm able to work remotely and take Teams calls and everything. But because of Starlink, we had to add another panel to our solar array. So this is a Renogy 100 watt panel. We created a PVC frame for it. So with that, we've got 400 watts. I won't go into too much detail about this. I think we've got a whole other video that you can look at. I think Sam's gonna put a little clicky thingy up there, so go check it out.
And next, we got new tires.
We went with the Puyo Open Country AT3s. These are rated for snow, so we should be okay if we get any snow while we're up here in Colorado.
There's a pretty big upgrade that we forgot to mention. Our jacks in the back were pretty much ruined, so we installed new jacks that are bolted to the frame in the front of the camper. These jacks have made stabilizing the camper 10 times easier, and we're hoping to add more to the back of the camper eventually.
Another thing that we upgraded when it came to electrical was our inverter and our smart shunt. We started out with a modified sine inverter, and it just made all of our little transformers that charge things start to buzz and make noises. We went ahead and bought a 1,000-watt pure sine inverter. The next thing that we upgraded was our smart shunt. So originally we had a little battery monitor that was right here, but the information that it gave us was pretty much useless. The great thing about the Victron smart shunt is we tell it how many amp hours our battery pack has, what kind of batteries it has, and it's able to calculate every watt that leaves that battery pack, and then every watt that we add back into that battery pack. So we get accurate data down to the watt. Just spectacular. On the kitchenette, we made a quick change. So this was such a short drawer that when we'd pull it out, it would snag on the side and things like that. So what we did is we just added some hinges to it and then put an angled cut on it. So now we can just pull it out like that, access what we need. We've got some little bins in there that are screwed in so they don't slide out. It's almost like a little shelf. And once you get the weight right and you're used to it, it's been really good. On this drawer, we didn't really need this. Like, you could come in here on the side and pull on it, but you gotta shove it out of the way. And sometimes it just, at 6 o'clock in the morning, I start working Central Time. I was grouchy and annoyed, so I ended up buying this on Amazon and installing it. I don't know, it's just easier. This drawer, if we didn't level the camper just right, it would want to just slide open. So I got one of the clasps, the mechanical clasps, and it just snaps right into place. It's been really nice.
So in our last tour video, we had like a 3-point system on how to keep Percy out of our pantry. We put like a door over it, and then a bungee cord, and then it was insane. It was just too much. Now we just have an actual door that opens, and then we can bolt lock it. And now Percy can't get in.
And I can't either.
And you can't either.
Some of the upgrades that we plan on doing in the coming months would be a new battery for the truck. It's a 6-year-old truck. The battery's rated for 6 years. It's time to upgrade it. Another thing is we know that we're going to be tracking snow into the camper. So we want to do something different than this mat. We're kind of even looking at maybe some sort of drainage hole so we can drain the melting snow off. I think I really want to see how it works with the snow before I start cutting holes though. Another thing that we're going to look at doing is I've got that roll of Reflectix back home. I'm going to look at putting some Velcro Reflectix onto the screen so we can snap it on and take it off. So whenever it comes time to go to bed, we can shut this and it will add an additional barrier, kind of keep that cold out. Because one of the things about a Scamp is this notoriously bad seal. And that's one reason in the 2022s you see the flat door.
Yeah.
And that's with all of our additional. So this wasn't even supposed to have a seal or a gasket, or I guess a seal on it. We added that just because this was still so bad. That's just a Scamp for you. Another thing that we're gonna look at doing is trying to utilize this space down here. There's probably 3 or 4 inches of space between here and the wheel well. And I'm thinking I'm gonna cut the fiberglass out. You've got me locked out. So I'm thinking that I'm gonna cut this fiberglass out and, you know, leave that there and make some sort of swing out door for here. In a space this small, whatever we can use to leverage every ounce of room is definitely worth it. Another thing that we're also looking at doing is taking advantage of the space here. So this is a fake drawer because there's a sink there, but they make these kits where you can make this swing out and just have a little spot for pens or whatnot. So my goal is to do this and put everything in it that Sam uses while I'm trying to work. So I don't have to move my laptop 1,800 times during the day as she's accessing this drawer.
So this next section is what we could do different if we could. A lot of these things, we made these mistakes early on and there's either no way of fixing them or we just haven't gotten around to fixing them yet. This section is kind of for people who are renovating their campers and they can take our mistakes and learn from them, or see maybe they want to do something this way or don't want to do it this way or whatever.
The first thing is something we saw some other YouTubers do. We put the gutters around the side windows and the back windows, and it seemed like an awesome idea, but what we found in practice is it really doesn't offer much of anything. Really. Early on, one of them peeled off, so we had one window with the gutter and one window without. They gave us some pretty good information about what sort of effect it has when it rains, and I can tell you it has zero effect.
Yep, my head and my feet both get wet.
Yeah, you know, when the water's running down the Scamp, it just doesn't make a difference. All it really does is make it more difficult to clean the Scamp, because the gutter fills up with junk and it runs down.
Yeah, it's just dirt and gunk and it's gross.
Yeah, if I could do it over again, I just wouldn't even have purchased the gutter material. I mean, it might work on some campers, but on the Scamp, no real benefit there.
Right.
The next thing would be the rear receiver. Don't get me wrong, I think the rear receiver can offer larger campers a lot, but the smaller Scamp that we have, that's 13 foot, 10 foot usable, and then you put a memory foam mattress in the back with 3 giant batteries. You can't put anything back there without it really just ruining the ability to drive down the road.
Yeah, it makes it incredibly unsafe. Whenever we first left and I still had my car and I was driving behind you and it was just, you were fishtailing. Yeah. And the bikes were just doing this and it was a lot of crazy happening.
And it really stinks because her dad actually helped me build it. He actually did most of the work. It's awesome. It's stiff. You could probably tow with it. It's so...
Yeah. There have been other people that do have their bike racks on the back and haven't had a problem.
Yeah, I think they don't have all the weight in the back like we do.
Yeah, so because we have that memory foam and it's very heavy back there.
Yeah. The next thing, I guess this is all going to be Marshall talk in this section. The next thing would be the kitchenette. Let me start by saying I love the way it looks. I like the wood top. I love the wood, how we trimmed it out in the front, and the color Sam came up with was great. I even like the white. Yeah, it gets a little dirty, but it just brightens it up in here. What I would have done differently was I would have reinforced the whole bottom, because we started to notice the middle starting to sag a little bit. I guess after I cut it all out, there's not enough there. And the way I did the shelves was I wanted the front facade board to match perfectly with the shelf. So I secured those together, and then you can remove those as a single unit. Well, as the Scamp shifts and things, it just gaps form and whatnot. I don't know how I've done it differently, but I like that I can take the shelves out, but I hate that it looks unfinished, I guess, or not as clean. The lines don't look as clean. That's just Marshall being picky, I think.
Yeah, I barely notice it, honestly.
I like the drawer. I like the slide-out table. I think I'd have done the bins differently somehow.
I wanted the bins because I wanted as much room as we could possibly have to fit all of our clothes in.
And it's easy to pull them in and out, so there is that.
Yeah.
It's just the lines, again, they don't look as clean with it being a bin versus a drawer. Anywho, the next thing I would have changed would have been more USB ports up high, and I would have probably not put any USB ports down toward our feet. The thought was that we would use it. We don't use it at all. And if you guys know where the thermostat is on the Scamp, that's probably all I would have put there. The power plug there, it's in the way whenever we raise the mattress up, so we've got it on a hinge, right? So when we lift it up, anything that's plugged in there is in the way. That whole control panel I just would have done away with. The thought was that I would lay in bed and just look at numbers all night, I guess. Once we upgraded from the cheap stuff to the decent battery monitor and things, everything's Bluetooth. So if I do want to monitor it, I'll just pull up my phone.
So something else that we would have changed, the Reflectix. We saw this on YouTube as well. A lot of things that we saw on YouTube.
Or Instagram.
Or
I don't think there's one original thought, other than the bed lift.
Yeah, the bed lift is definitely ours. So we like the Reflectix, and we do wish that we cut them a little bit bigger. We cut them to size of the window, and it is a huge pain to try to fit them properly.
Yeah.
Every night I fight with them. Every single night.
If we would have like an inch overhang or even an inch and a half, it would have meshed better with the carpet too, so I think it would have made a better seal.
But the way that it's designed now, it fits the window gasket.
Yeah.
Like, it fits that perfectly where the Velcro is, so it has to be a perfect fit. It's like a puzzle. Like, you have to perfectly fit it. If not, then you have holes, or it's annoying. Another thing with the Reflectix that we wish we had done something a little bit different, the gaffer tape on the back, we thought, let's put black gaffer tape. In the winter, the sun will be attracted to it, and it'll help to warm up the Scamp, so we won't have to use the heater as much. Well, it also does it in the summer as well.
Yeah.
So that it gets really hot in here, and the window gets really hot, and it starts melting the Velcro. That's why I had to change out the Velcro.
Yeah. So we used like consumer grade Velcro, and the adhesive started to turn to goo pretty quick. We ended up buying some industrial grade Velcro, and it seems to be working pretty well.
I've had 2 fall off, but that's not the Velcro's fault.
She
It's
didn't
my
clean
fault.
the surface before she started.
We didn't have goo gone, and I don't know how to, I don't think it was going to come off in the first place. The gaffer tape, anyway.
I do like that it's black. I do like that it's a color, not Reflectix. But I probably would use something other than gaffer if I could do it over again.
Yeah. But the thing is, if you don't put something on the back of that the Reflectix, it is see-through. By that, I mean the sun can come through it. That gaffer tape, it acts like a blackout curtain, kind of. The only thing is that with that hot sun hitting it all the time, it's starting to melt a little bit, and
yeah, curl the...
Yeah, and we've already had to put a second layer on.
I wouldn't do the gaffer tape. Or duct tape. Probably
No.
any tape. Yeah. We'll probably be changing it at some point.
Yeah.
The next section would be what are things that have gone well for us? I have to say, working remotely with Starlink has gone really well.
Yeah.
So I work IT, and I do that remotely, network, servers, things like that. And I can remote into a jump box and then hit our entire network and do everything I need to do remotely. I take Teams calls all day. No issues. There's no lag.
Going off of what's gone well with Starlink, using Starlink with YouTube, I don't have to go into town to upload videos. I upload videos in the middle of the woods. It works great.
Now, with us saying that, if you're in a cell that's congested, we do get downgraded. Somewhere we were at, we were only getting like 5 or 10 megabits down. But still, the ping rate was good. I was still able to take calls. I was still able to work. I have noticed as Starlink is put more satellites in orbit, and it takes a couple months for them to come online, but we have noticed that service is getting better. The window in which I need to view with the dish has actually gotten smaller. We've put them in pretty weird places, and we've still got service.
Yeah, I think just the dish is smart.
Yeah.
I think it's super, super smart. Because sometimes the first day, it'll have all these obstructions, and then the next day, it gets less and less and less. So it's learning its location.
I think so, because we never moved the dish. And it's like, oh, there's no obstruction today.
Yeah. Huge fans of Starlink.
Yeah, it is a bit expensive, but what we were doing before with the Wii Boost and thing, it
wasn't working for us. You wouldn't be able to work.
No, not with that service.
Starlink's a little bit more expensive, but it's a necessity for the way that we are doing our lifestyle.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine running IT off cellular.
Right.
Yeah. The next thing, we've sort of alluded to it a few times, would be the bed struts. We knew we wanted to put the bed on a hinge so we could lift it all up. Because early on, we tried to just lift the bed, and I mean, it was just difficult. I could do it. Sam would get super angry about it. We ended up getting those shower mats. We saw some YouTubers doing that just to
help with the airflow between.
Yeah, and then it was like, getting stabbed in the back whenever you lift.
Acupuncture.
So we knew we had to do something, so we ended up building that. I think Sam wants to make a video about it later.
Yeah, there'll be a how-to video, because we've had some people ask us how we did it.
The door latch. The older models have that old-style door latch.
Yeah.
Sam didn't want that because you couldn't lock it from the inside. So when you're asleep, the door's unlocked.
Yeah, and I was scared that Percy would just jump up and be able to open the door.
So I started Googling. I bought the steel to make the latch and bought the door lock from Amazon, and it's been great.
It did take him about a month to get the courage to cut the hole in the door, though.
Yeah, anytime you cut a hole in your Scamp, it's super scary because you can't go back once you make that cut.
The one thing with the door latch, though, is that you do want to keep it greased, and if not, you will have to take the door off the hinges in the middle of the woods.
Anywho, next one, the gas line. The Scamp came with the stove on the inside that we ended up pulling out. We just didn't like the idea of cooking in such a small space. We knew the place would just stink. I moved that gas line from the stove. I just kind of slowly bent it over, because it's copper, over to where the heater would be. And then I just hooked it right into there. And before the regulator, I teed off and put a hose. I think it's like 15 foot.
It can go all the way from the front of the camper to the back of the camper for the generator.
And we use it for the stove outside and then our generator.
Yeah, it's one or the other at one time.
And I went ahead and added a second tank. I did not add the auto switch, and I did that by design. I didn't want it to flop from an empty tank to a full tank without me knowing it. And if that means I gotta go outside at 3 o'clock in the morning when we run out of gas, then so be it. At least I know that tank is empty. If anyone has any issues or wants to kind of look and see how we do things, just reach out in the comments or something.
Or if you want a video on just how all that's actually connected, or a short video.
Yeah. Speaking of propane items, the next thing would be the propane generator. We wanted a propane generator from the factory, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Built from the ground up.
Yeah. You know, there are kits out there where you can convert a Honda generator or some other brand generator over to propane. And I looked into doing that, and what you end up with is, you know, something hanging off the side of your generator, or you still got this gas tank on top and things like that. And I like the idea that this ALP generator, which was the only one I could find really within my price range, was from the factory, built for propane. When it comes to generators, it's on the quieter side.
Now, when he says quieter, he doesn't mean like it's silent. It still makes noise. Whenever you told me it was quiet and then you showed it to me and I'm like, that's not quiet. It's still a generator, but it is quieter than a lot of these other ones that you hear out here sometimes.
All we do with it is charge the camper.
And now when he says that we charge the Scamp off of it, our first charging system is solar. This is our backup.
So we've got a 30 amp converter. We started out with a 45 amp. What we found was the generator, it would start charging the Scamp, but then it would go into overload pretty quick. Because when it says a 1K generator, they're not 1K generators. They're like 800 watt generators. So peak is 1K. And that's just marketing voodoo for you. I hate marketing. So just keep that in mind if you end up getting a generator. The next thing that I would say that we did well, that we're really happy with, is the Maxxfan and Its Location.
So before, when we didn't have it, we took the Scamp out and it was hot outside and we had the girls with us. We were miserable.
And you think, oh, I'll just stick a fan in the window or whatever. No. You just can't get good airflow. This actually is sealed, so it's pulling air through, and then it'll come through the windows, just causing the air to circulate. We ended up putting it in the emergency hatch, so we did lose the ability to have that second exit. And it took a lot of courage for me to do that as well. I did a lot of research on the internet, chatted with some friends and family, and in the end I just bit the bullet, and I'm glad I did. So what we did was we capped it off with aluminum, and then riveted and caulked it all up, and then cut a 19-inch hole, square hole. The fan dropped right in, and then we just boxed it in with some trim. Yeah. So the next thing that I'm pretty happy with, what we ended up doing, is the electrical. So this is a 21-year-old Scamp, and something that Scamp does, and probably all camper manufacturers do, they'll run one electrical wire from the front to the back, and then they use these things called vampire clips or connectors, and they will splice off of that to run all the little lights throughout the Scamp. I don't like them. It just introduces so many variables for failure. So what I ended up doing is I ran everything back to a fuse panel, and every wire goes directly from its device or its load back to that fuse panel. And then that tells me exactly how much load is on each circuit, and then I can gauge how many amps is potentially able to leave that fuse panel and how much can go into it. And it makes the calculus so much easier. Those vampire clips, that's all I got. I don't like them.
Something else that's gone really well that a lot of our friends and family were really concerned about whenever we told them what we were doing, the tiny space and us living in it together, and us not being able to get along in such a tiny space.
Yeah. It's really not been that bad.
No. I think we still like each other.
Mostly.
Kind of. So this last section is just kind of a little recap of where we are emotionally, what we miss, what we don't miss, what our future plans are.
So I guess for me, the things that I miss would probably be, family and friends, of course.
Yeah,
I think both of us.
That's both of us.
Yeah. I mean, we're currently 16 hours away?
From Denver, we're about 16 and a half hours away from home. A little over 1,000 miles.
And I would say other things that I miss would be kind of like, community that you form when you live somewhere.
Yeah.
Like we lived in Hopkinsville for 7 years, a few different jobs, and you just start to learn the community, your routines on Sunday where you go to swing by Harbor Freight and Tractor Supply and
or he'd come home and he would just look at me and he'd know that we're about to ride our bikes to go get margaritas. Like, I was with Elements of Self-Defense for about a year, and now I'm online, and it's just, I don't have that community with them. Like, I don't actually get to talk to them anymore, really.
So you miss that. You miss community. I miss my shop. I'm not, like, awesome at shop stuff, but, I mean, I always was in there tinkering around with something. I don't know. Yeah. Probably mostly cleaning and organizing.
So I miss taking a bath, with a glass of wine. I miss that alone time. And I still get plenty of alone time out here. It's just, it's a very specific kind of alone time.
I don't miss the weather.
Oh, God. So Kentucky, it's either humid, there's an ice storm, or a tornado's going through your backyard, or it's just...
Yeah. You can count on freezing rain every year.
We do miss Alexa. Alexa was our best friend.
So we had Alexa in every room.
Outside,
yeah. Don't get me wrong, this lifestyle has definitely been really cool. We've seen a lot of cool stuff. But, there is something to be said about having a home base. And we've talked about that at some point. We'll probably end up with a home base.
We have a home base where we stay for a month. And then for the next 3 months, we're still traveling around like we are right now. Being in the woods, being off-grid. Our home base would be off-grid. Everything would still be off-grid.
And the reason we want to do that is it's hard to repair out here. Because... even if I know how to replace an idler pulley or whatnot, if you take that idler pulley out in the middle of the woods and something else breaks during the process, you are stranded.
Very expensive Uber ride.
Yeah.
But again, that's not to say that we aren't absolutely in love with what we're doing. I probably could do this for quite a few years.
I think you could do it for life.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very into this right now.
Yeah.
I'm very happy. The idea of moving, I love moving. So going into the best parts of this lifestyle, I do love the freedom. Being spontaneous, not really knowing where you're going to be going next. We could plan it out if we wanted to, but I don't like to.
Now, I do have to say on that, getting closer to winter, things start to shut down. Campgrounds are all shutting down.
In where we are right now, there's a certain point where after December 1st, you can't camp. They'll lock it up, but before that, there are still some campsites.
Yeah. So definitely something to think about if you're wanting to do this full time is winter time. It's difficult.
Yeah, and we want to camp in snow, so we're not trying just to go down to Arizona and stay there. Like, we want to be in the snow.
Yeah, every picture of Colorado has a snow-covered peak. I would like to actually see that, like be in it.
And I want to learn how to snowboard, so we have to be near snow.
I don't. We'll borrow a snowmobile.
You'll pick me up when I've crashed a gazillion times?
Yeah.
So something else. I feel like I'm getting all the... What's amazing about this lifestyle.
Yeah, all good.
We have stayed the night in 13 states now.
Mm-hmm.
I've never gone more west than Missouri, so being able to say that I stayed the night in like all these western states is awesome to me. Like, I love that I can write that in my bullet journal and I can track all this stuff, and it's really, really, really cool.
Doing it this way, we actually get to spend some time in different communities.
We wouldn't have been able to like see different places and kind of get the vibe of the place and the kind of people that live here and see if whenever we do eventually in a long time from now settle down somewhere, like, we want to be in the same type of culture that meshes with us.
If we would have just stayed the night or even a weekend.
At that point, it's more of a vacation than actually living there. We live in these places. Not very long, but we live there.
Yeah.
Future plans. I plan on making more videos. You will see more of us. And if there's something that you want to see or something that you're curious about or something that we've talked about that you want to know more information, just let us know. We'll make videos for it. We're always looking for other forms of content besides our day-to-day life that we can make to give back to the YouTube community. So that's about all we have for you guys. I hope it wasn't too long.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be one of our longer ones. I hope you got some things out of it.
Yeah.
We'll help you on your journeys.
Yeah, and if you made it to the end, we got some fun bloopers for you. So continue watching.
And thanks for watching.
Bye, guys. Be normal with the camera, please.
Okay, the bike rack. I hate that we have bikes because we never use them.
Well, we should just
use them. So Percy loves the bike rack. Look, it's all rusty now. Now it's time to trim my beard.
Okay. Why do you correct me after?
We didn't correct you before. Created a little guide that
fly related on me.
Only you can prevent forest fires. If you're returning.
Haven't already. What is wrong with you? Why do you keep laughing?
Because I know you're gonna have to chop so much. I'm trying not to move my face too much, because otherwise it's gonna be me like.
Just look at me. Stop going.
The bloopers are gonna be amazing. My hair's long and luscious. We have a video about the bike racks. You can go back there.
Can
and
you
look.
stop being a smartass, please?
No, I'm gonna make it a fun video.
No, no.
Look at me.
Marshall.
Fine. Look at me. No, I'm gonna get into it now.
No, we're not. I'm gonna cut all of it. We're losing daylight.
Sam does people watch.
I love people watching, and that's not weird.
Maybe we should start over. That was a chopping nightmare. There's a lot of time that it's just Sam and I and the internet.
I
don't want to do this. She's making me.
It's not the same with Siri. Hey Siri, I miss Alexa. All right, she's not gonna talk to us. We'll probably cut that part out.
The bloopers are gonna be amazing.
I want quilted northern.
Well,
my bum misses that.
Your bum. Shut up.
Oh, such a long time. Okay, you can cut that part out.
You can't talk to the camera and do that.
I know.
Okay. Okay, we need to say bye still.
Bye. All right. You do bye.